You know that strange feeling when you're finally starting to heal, you're journaling, meditating, doing better, and suddenly everything around you starts falling apart. The people you thought were gone in your life reappear, your emotions get chaotic, and you start thinking, I thought that everything was already getting better, but why does it feel like it's getting worse? Here is the truth about healing that no one wants to talk about. And it's that healing is actually a linear journey. The act of learning how to hold both the peace and chaos in our life. In this video, I want to remind you guys to not lose faith in your healing process and to be able to see that the mess and the chaos that's also coming in your journey is actually integration and expansion for you. This is something very interesting that I learned in my healing journey these few years, and it is actually that the moment your energy starts expanding, the universe naturally brings situations and people to test if you're truly different and you've already grown out of it. I will also talk about my own healing journey because these few months have been crazy for me. So many people from the past actually came back into my life, and some of them are even people that I had like beef with, or like people that didn't really end on good terms. And when they came back into my life, they actually projected so many things. A lot of these things were chapters that I didn't close in the past, so they actually came back into my life as a reflection of what I need to heal. I'll take an example of one of my old friends that came back into my life that I actually learned so much out of. So this friend of mine, I was actually close to him for a while a few years ago, and we kind of just got off contact because of certain things that happened. I think that he said something that I didn't like that he mentioned. He triggered a lot of like my insecurities and my need for validation, and I wasn't able to give myself that in the past. So whenever he would say something that triggers that part of me that feels unheard or unhealed, I literally shut him off, and I actually stopped being friends with him for a bit. And these few years, I'm just like healing and I'm trying to fill into my own cup. And he suddenly got back into my life. When I met him, I realized that I wanted to show up with a new energy. And at first, I felt very uncomfortable because I was like, wait, but I didn't really end off good terms with this friend. So should I really meet this person? But I still went with my gut feeling because I trust the universe so much. So that's why I did. And he actually opened up so much about what he went through these few years, his growth, and how he also saw my growth from afar, even though we didn't stay in touch. And it actually healed so much things in me because I realized that now, if I show up with a new me, the parts of myself that felt unheard in the past actually don't exist anymore, and I can actually create a new friendship with him. I realized that when people come back into my life, or whatever happens in my healing journey, it's actually a reminder for self-regulation, because a lot of things and people, they are here to actually test us. People who trigger you, people who did something to you in the past that you didn't like or you didn't heal from or caused trauma in your life, they're actually meant for you to see the lessons and the blessings behind this person or this incident so that you can reach your higher self, which is who you're meant to become. If I were to fixate my life on things that once happened to me and I couldn't walk out of, I wouldn't be able to meet this new friend with a new intention, with a new energy, and forgive. Because a lot of times we can't move on in our life, not really because of how much pain the person inflicted on us. It's because we didn't heal, we can't forgive, and ultimately the person that we're not forgiving is ourselves, not the other person, because it's the feeling that you felt or who that person made you feel like you were when that incident happened or when someone did something to you. This is when I realized that healing really isn't about rushing anything or fixing anything. It's about recognizing your triggers fast and choosing differently every time they appear. Why do I say this? Because when my old friends came back into my life, the part of me that felt unheard, unsafe, were triggered. Like, I remember he did this to me, so should I really approach him again? Do I trust that he's coming back into my life for a greater good? But ultimately, I decided to trust myself, and I wanted to test, if I show up with a new energy, if he aligns, will this create something different? And that is exactly what I did. So every time when the universe gives you certain tests, if you're able to pass the test, you would actually receive a bigger reward out of it, because That is what I experienced out of this relationship with my friend in the past. So this also leads me to explain to you guys what all this mess and chaos seems to feel like, but what it's really signaling us. So this is an energetic rewiring that I experienced in this kind of reconciliation with my old friend. I realized that because my whole life my nervous system was so used to chaos, it was so used to feeling unsafe, I will keep projecting this feeling onto people. I will project it on my friends, making me feel this way. In the past, when I didn't heal, I needed people to give me a lot of safety, assurance, to tell me that I'm safe, to tell me that they won't leave me, they'll always be in my life. But I realized that if I don't cultivate this within myself and I seek it from other people, I would always fall as a victim to others, because no one can give you something forever until you learn to give it to yourself. And that is what I had to learn from my old friend coming back into my life, because at first it feels scary. Like, I remember what he did to me, what he said to me. It made me feel very unsafe. Am I signing up for this? But then I realized that everything was my projection, because back in the past I was so insecure. So maybe when people do things, they didn't mean it in the way that you interpret it, but because you have this wound in you, you can't regulate yourself, or you often see things in like a fixed mindset instead of like, maybe it could have been this. Maybe he said this to me because he really treated me as a real friend and he wanted to express something that he felt. You have to want to reborn and let your old self die before you can actually experience a new version of yourself. Because if you're going to hold on to your past, your traumas, or the identity that made you feel a certain way, and you're not willing to let it go, it's very hard for you to move on from things. Because I have friends, they have been talking to me about how much pain this person inflicted on them for the past 7 years. And I always ask them, it's not wrong to feel pain. And I know how bad it must have felt for you to go through this in your life. But don't you trust that there is something bigger and there is a version of you that you have yet to experience, because you are not moving on from this? So this leads me to my next point, which talks about identity death. Every time when you feel like your healing journey is all over the place, remember that this mess is simply your nervous system and your new self catching up with your old self. You are not falling apart, you are recalibrating. So trust the process, and when you trust the process, your new self will start to show up, and you will really be able to find so many gifts out of the mess that this healing journey seems to be giving you. This is a reframing exercise that I think is very helpful for you guys. When things feel messy, don't rush yourself to fix them, and don't rush yourself to feel the need to heal in a certain time or a certain pace. Be gentle and patient with yourself. Instead of saying things like, I'm doing something wrong, why am I still attracting people in the past in my life, try this instead. I am meeting a part of me that's ready to evolve, and I'm meeting people because it's a test of what I'm ready to receive. This is also another practice that I always do whenever I feel like my nervous system needs regulation. When you feel triggered by someone or something that happens to you in your life, pause, breathe, and name this feeling or emotion. Tell your inner child that we are safe now. Because a lot of times it's your inner child calling for help. Whenever your mind asks, why is this happening to me? Reframe it as, what is it teaching me? Because a lot of times things don't just happen because they happen. They happen to teach you something and for you to understand yourself even more. So the last part that I want to talk about is to embrace your inner child when things feel out of the place. Because a lot of times when you feel like everything is haywire or you feel like nothing is going your way, it's usually because your inner child needs reassurance from you. And a lot of us, we forget our inner child because we think that we've grown up. This is how we also attract a lot of things in our life that our subconscious actually vibrates with. Because when your inner child doesn't feel safe, it's very easy for you to attract events and people that make you feel unsafe, because that is your inner child calling for help. And you think that finding people who make you feel safe is the ultimate goal, but let me tell you guys that in my experience, People can give you all the reassurance in the world, but if you don't cultivate a healthy relationship where you can feed your inner child the nourishing it needs, it would always come back to the point where you feel like no matter how much people do for you, it's never enough. So the inner child, I feel like, is the most important part of our healing journey. When we grow up in the world, we have our own childhood, we have our own parents that brought us a different version of our beliefs in life. And a lot of us, our traumas, our belief system are all created from that childhood. We're adults now, so it's actually our responsibility to provide ourselves the right belief system that can bring ourselves further in this life that we truly want to go, because we can only blame our parents, our childhood so much. But what's the true liberation is when you're able to turn what you're given into something bigger, because everyone in the world, we will never have perfect parents or perfect childhood, because when we came into the world as human beings, we're meant to evolve, and your childhood is actually here to remind you that you need to evolve. Some belief system that needs to evolve, or it's either some parts of you that you need to heal so that you can experience more happiness and abundance in this life. Ultimately, when we want to heal, we have to also incorporate some healthy practices and tools into our life so that we can take actionable steps to really help with our healing journey. And this is how my book Becoming Whole can help you in your healing journey. In my book Becoming Whole, I actually write a lot about my self-growth journey and also a lot of actionable insights and reminders whenever you feel like you need some push or you need some motivation in your healing journey. I have a lot of practical exercises, and these have been life-changing for me, and I just know that it will help you guys out as well. And I just know that it will also be life-changing for all of my readers. So if you want to purchase my book Becoming Whole, do so in the Notion link down below, and it will mean a whole lot to me if you also support my healing journey. My vision is to always create a safe space for my audience and everyone in my life to be impacted by what I go through, and I just believe that we're all here to heal and empower each other. Do subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for my videos, and also follow me on Instagram if you want to see my live updates and to connect with me. I'll see you guys very soon, and all the best to your healing journey. You are on the way. Bye!